There's a wonderful teaching that goes, if you realize you're the ocean, you're not afraid of the waves. And then the correlate is, if you forget, you'll be seasick every day. And it's true. I mean, if we forget, if we're identified with our ego, with our personality and our body and our defenses and our talents and all of it, we're going to be off balance every day. There's going to be those ups and downs with the major changes and losses. And we don't have access to the inner balance and peace that comes from knowing a larger belonging. I frequently use the rain meditation because that's an example of how we can bring mindfulness and compassion to the waves of difficult emotions and thoughts. And in the rain meditation, this flowering of resting in a larger space is called after the rain. It's what happens after we bring the qualities of presence to the waves of experience. So after the rain is the place where we experience that oceanness. And if you want to go deeper into shifting from being identified with the waves to realizing the ocean, after the rain is the place to deepen attention, to really notice, what's this like? Because the more you notice what it's like, the more you actually bring it forward. We're going to do a light rain together and then look a little more closely at after the rain. Okay. So wherever you are, you might take a moment to adjust your posture. The invitation is going to be to bring your attention inward. You might close your eyes or let your gaze be downcast. And take a few full breaths. And I'd like you to bring to mind, if you will, something that brings up anxiety, but not off the charts, fear or trauma, just everyday anxiety, nothing big. It may be when you have a deadline, or you're caught in traffic, or you have to talk to somebody that makes you nervous, or you have to present something, but some situation that gets you anxious. For many of us, it's a lot of different social situations do it. And take a moment to bring a situation to mind so you can get in touch with what your nervous, anxious self is like. Noticing the part of the situation that most might trigger that anxiety, perhaps a fear that someone's going to judge you, that you'll be late, that there'll be consequences, whatever it is. And just check inside and sense, okay, so what's the anxious self like? From the experience of that anxious self, what seems wrong? How does the world look? How does that anxious self feel in relationship to other selves? And how do you feel about yourself? Do you dislike your anxious self? Just notice all you can about the anxious self. And again, the situation, have that in mind, feeling anxiety. And let's begin rain with this. And the R of rain is simply to recognize the anxiety. And here it's helpful to do a little mental whisper. Just say anxious, anxious. So there's an acknowledgement, a recognition. That's the beginning of rain. And the A is allowing. So you're just letting it be here for now. It's like you're agreeing to reality for the moment. This is what's here. And that lets you investigate a little. And you might sense as you investigate, what is that anxious self believing? Are you believing something's going to go wrong? Are you believing you're failing? There may be some belief. And most important, when you're believing that and when you're anxious, what's it like in your body? And see if you can feel into where there's vulnerability. Just where your heart maybe is pounding or sore, where you feel maybe a clench in the chest, or maybe your gut is tight. And it helps, as many of you know, to put your hand on your heart. And that's actually the beginning of nurturing. And it also helps to continue investigating and feeling what's here. Just feel it. Breathe with it. Long, slow, deep breath with where there's anxiety. And this is nurturing, attending, sensing what it most needs to feel comforted. As part of nurturing, you might say, thank you for trying to protect me. I'm okay right now. And in nurturing, you might offer care. Just feel like your hands, the warmth of your hand is actually communicating care. And then deepen that. Really sense your wish for yourself. See how kind you can be towards what's here. And if it's helpful, you might imagine a larger source of kindness, perhaps someone else that feels very loving to you. Or it might be something from the natural world that's, tree or another animal, a pet. You may feel a spiritual figure calling on that to just help bathe this vulnerable, anxious place with kindness and presence. Now, gently moving into after the rain by noticing the quality of presence that's here now, attending to the presence itself. What's it like? Is there more spaciousness, more openness, more tenderness? Remind yourself of where you started as that anxious self and notice what shifted. Notice the quality of awareness that's here, and then just relax and be that awareness. Sense it around you and through you, pervading your interior, everywhere. That awareness, wakeful, tender. Just get familiar with it and sense how this awareness is more the truth of who you are than any of the changing ways of anxiety or stories. How this has the space to hold our changing life. And even if there are remaining streams of anxiety or other feelings, there's room. You can bring yourself back at your own pace. It's fine if you want to continue listening with your eyes closed or if you want to journal some. One of the ways that I've found really useful to think about this practice, because we need to keep repeating it, is that the more we repeat it, the more familiar we get with a larger truth. And there's a way that clothing was dyed. Some places in the world still dyed this way. If you imagine a vat of indigo dye and taking a white cloth and to dye it, you dip it into the vat and then you might rinse it and then let it dry a bit. And the first time you do it, uh, there may be just the palest blue. But if you keep dipping that cloth and going through the process into the vat of indigo dye, over time it absorbs the color and it becomes that rich, brilliant indigo that's so luminous and alive. And so it is with awareness that initially we practice bringing presence, bringing the mindfulness and care of rain to an experience where we're stuck, and we might just get a little bit of a sense of more spacious, but still we feel the, really caught in the feelings. But each time we do it, that the presence gets intensified. It becomes more full. It becomes more familiar. It becomes more stable. So we can trust it that this is more the truth of who we are. So there's a shift from states of feeling some sense of loving presence to it becoming a trait, really being home.